A lot of people might be wondering how Andy and I met. Sometimes people have these really wild, really crazy stories. And I guess our story is definitely interesting.
A while ago, we had a smoke fire in the house, kind of smoking over damage. The house kind of filled up with smoke, and Megan was trapped in her room in the attic. So she opened the window and was leaning out, saying, "Help, help." And she didn't know it at the time, but Andy was walking by on his way to school. He heard Megan shouting for help. So he ran over and said, "I'll catch you." So Megan says, "Okay," and jumps out the window. Andy's knowledge of physics failed him, though. He really hadn't considered the impact of trying to catch someone jumping from a third-story window.
My son Andy rescued Princess Megan when she was in the clutches of the Empire on a starship, escaping into the outer worlds, trying to rescue her family and her world as she knew it from the invaders.
So Andy was this horribly disfigured, very emotional opera singer, and he was living in the basement of this church. And Megan came from, she was from an orphanage, and she came to live in this church, and she would go off on her own, and she would sing these songs, and Andy would come to her, and he would teach her how to sing.
So she's doing one of her cross-country trips, which she does time to time, because she's the adventurer that she is. And so she's driving this dark country road, and it's late one night, she can't find a hotel, it's storming out, and she accidentally gets off the highway, or not accidentally, but anyway, she gets off the highway to find a shortcut, and it's a little dark out, like it's under the cloak of darkness.
So Megan was outside petting these adorable stray cats, and Andy was watching her and thought she was really cute, but didn't know how to talk to her because he was nervous. And then one of the cats ran out in front of a car, and Andy jumped out to save the cat and dove in front of the car and rolled across the street with the cat in his arms and rescued the cat. And then that gave him the courage to talk to Megan, because he wanted to be a hero for her.
The story of the fortuitous meeting between Megan and Andy, it's really actually quite an interesting story, and most people know that Andy went to Columbia, and he studied physics. His mother was a physics teacher, right? Wasn't she your? Yep. Rumor has it that he was working on some sort of weird space-time machine in his basement in Princeton, Plainsboro. I don't really know how this works, but Megan has the innate power to transverse space and time. Oh, maybe that's more like Heroes, but
Yet, inadvertently, however, he didn't actually fight the starship. He didn't go rescue her directly. I think they actually met in a garbage dump, to tell you the truth.
Okay, well, you have to understand that Andy and Megan are completely different kinds of people. Megan, brilliant, top of her class, beautiful, just everything you could ask for in a daughter. Andy, not really doing much with his life. Doing some kickboxing, hanging out with his sister and her kid, and didn't have any drive, any ambition, no idea what he was going to do with his life, no desire to make anything of himself. He sat down and said, well, all I know is I don't want to be involved in buying, making, or selling anything.
One day when Megan was here visiting, she came for a walk over the hill, and as she was starting down this trail, the Indians that live in the woods nearby captured her and tried to take her to Canada to sell her as a slave for the Canadians.
Andy and Megan actually met in the online world in WoW, and they also happened to be in the same D&D circle together, and they didn't know until later that, they are actually in these two things. They're in the same clan and the same D&D circle, and they didn't realize that they were flirting with each other online. And then one day, Andy talked about his character, and, Megan's like, oh my god, I'm in your guild, and everything went from there.
He was able to rescue Megan, and I couldn't have been happier when they both arrived safe and sound, and I was introduced to the princess. I'm a great fan of hers, and
she comes across this mansion, and she decides it's her only hope. So she went in, and she meets this ugly beast of a man. Okay, maybe just an awkward teen, but still.
And sometimes she'll just sort of blink her eyes and wake up, and she'll be in another time period. saying that one morning Megan woke up and she found herself in something that actually kind of looked like the set of Pirates of the Caribbean.
As she looked around, it was a lushly decorated ship's cabin. Since there was no one else present, she thought she'd have a look around. The wardrobe was full of rich, lush clothing. Again, totally out of the 16th century period.
It was the 16th.
It was the 16th century. But she didn't know that at the time. So, as she
pulling the kid card, so it's
I would like to think with her keen understanding of fashion that she had quite an understanding of where and when she...
As the Indians were bringing her down through this old trail along overlooking Buffalo Creek, Megan managed to escape from them. I think she rolled them down over the big bank here and they went into the creek.
Unfortunately, he won her over. Stood outside all night long, I swear to you, with a boombox over his head, playing some stupid Peter Gabriel song until she relented eventually, and, the rest is history.
And Megan was singing in this opera that Andy made for her. He made this opera, it was all for Megan, and he had her perform in it, and she was confused about her emotions, how she felt about him, she was confused, so he had her perform in this opera, and in the middle of it, she fell in love with this other singer, and Andy got upset, and he crashed the chandelier down, and he stole Megan away, took her into his lair, they sang to each other. Megan decided she's really in love with Andy. They're meant for each other. He dressed her up in all of this wedding paraphernalia, they fell in love, and they lived happily ever after.
And he, of course, is bowled over by her beauty and her smarts and her creativity and all the things wonderful about Megan. And she, of course, sees underneath his beastliness, and so they decide they, kind of come together and start to make a go of it. And in the meantime, she transforms him out of his curse, well, if you could call awkward teenage state a curse, and into the urbane young man he is today.
She left the cabin and wandered above decks. She was confronted by a swarthy man with an eye patch and a hook.
And a parrot, right?
And a parrot, right?
Wasn't there a parrot?
Yeah, there was a parrot. What is this? A stowaway on me ship! And it was then that this large flash of light suddenly occurred.
Before Megan knew it, this wildly handsome, red, strawberry blonde-haired man was standing in front of her. Beautiful, pirate shirt, rapier, and he challenged Sir Yellowbeard, right? That was the name of the pirate, and his parrot, to a duel.
Lightsaber slashing through them, arms, limbs, head.
Andy won. And
after all, we remember his name, and Yellowbeard's name has been lost to history.
First, Megan was really frightened, and she was sitting on this bench crying, and Andy came up the trail from the other way and found her there, rescued her, took her back home, and they lived happily ever after.
And see that little place on his ear where the ear's all bitten up? That was from where the car grazed his ear.
By hideous beasts, I mean a slightly awkward, pimply teenager.
Now, I'll admit her father did end up in jail for tax evasion. And it's been tough for her dad and for her too, because I've been dead for a while, I think. So, it's been tough. But anyway, I hope they're going to be happy. And, that's all you can hope for anybody, isn't it?